したコーデじゃねえか。
It has been a long time since a video game got a tear out of me. Interesting enough, the last time I teared up playing a video game was Yakuza Like a Dragon. With Like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name, releasing on November 9th, 2023, I spent the last few days beating the main story of the game, along with a few side quests. If this is your first time seeing a review from me, here's how I judge them. Story, gameplay, music, multiplayer, and side content. Of course, these things have to apply to this game. Multiplayer doesn't necessarily apply to Like a Dragon Gaiden, so it won't be applicable in this review. I also give 2 scores, a score out of 10, and another one out of the lamp of approval. First one is the red lamp of disapproval. It means I just don't recommend the game. The second one is the yellow lamp of approval, meaning I recommend the game, but it's usually a way for a sale or rent, or wait for it to get on something like Xbox Game Pass or PlayStation Plus. And the last one is the azure lamp of approval, meaning I highly recommend you play the game, buy it, play it any way you can. Of course, like most reviews, the out of 10 score and the lamp of approval score will bleed into each other. But the goal of these 2 different scores is to give a rating that I feel that I would give on a personal level, and one that I might think others might like about the game. So with that in mind, let's get into it. Like a Dragon Gaiden story sees the return of old series protagonist Kiryu Kazuma in one of the shortest mainline Yakuza games to date. Going under the alias Joryu, he completes assignments given to him by a mysterious group named the Daidoji faction as a secret agent. The spinoff takes place between the ending of Yakuza 6, The Song of Life, and Yakuza Like a Dragon. If you've played Yakuza Like a Dragon, the climax of the story is in a familiar setting with the return of iconic characters both old and new to the series. The main story is around 10 hours long, spanning 5 chapters. Here lies the problem I have with Gaiden: the pacing. The pacing in Like a Dragon Gaiden is a little off. It begins with a bang. Joryu and his fellow Daidoji agents are ambushed after rolling out the red carpet for an important job. Here, he has his first encounter with the Hanya Masked Man. Bombastic fights, explosions, it really all leaves a taste in your mouth of that old Yakuza feel. After this, Joryu is tasked with finding someone named Akami, a person who controls the Akami network in one of my favorite cities in the franchise, Sultanburi. The Akami network is a system built on information collected from homeless on the street of Sultanburi. They help Akami in exchange for protection, basically. Under Akami, Joryu is made to do tasks ranging from getting food for the homeless to dressing up for women who miss their loved ones. For a good chunk of the game, it feels like you're doing an extended sub-story that involves helping the homeless and gaining points in order to progress through the main story. During this section, you are introduced to this place called the Castle, a ship at sea that people of a certain status can live out their darkest fantasies. This is where the story slows down quite a bit. At this point, you have to do missions for the Akami network and rank up to level 10 to progress any further. I didn't mind this personally, as I like to take my time with games, but I can acknowledge that this slowdown won't be for everyone. The story drags on a little bit further with little to no progress in the plot. With all that being said, when the story grinds its gears, it kicks it into overdrive. In typical Yakuza fashion, you fight through waves of henchmen and bosses to a conclusion that made a grown man shed a few tears. Due to spoiler reasons, I won't reveal why Kiryu was bawling his eyes out, but I will say the reason is definitely justified. It shows that even someone who can mow down multiple enemies with a hard-boiled look can still have an emotional attachment to the world. Like most games, the one thing that should stand above everything is gameplay. I know for a fact that is it for me. Gaiden does this well, with the most refined combat for Kiryu. Kiryu has two fighting stances to choose from: Yakuza style and Agent style. Yakuza style is the refined version of the Dragon style in past games. Charge moves feel more satisfying to hit while still feeling smooth. RGG Studio has taken the juggle system from Judgment series and implemented it into Kiryu's moveset with great success, and old moves from past games bounce the opponent higher, allowing cooler combos and more freedom to the player. Similar can be said of the Agent style. Agent style is a new stance for Kiryu. Learning it to pass the time at the Daidoji Temple, the Agent style introduces a new mechanic to the series. Kiryu has access to a Spider-Man-like tool that allows him to grapple enemies at a distance from himself and pull them closer. He can also swing them into each other or stun them in place. It all depends on the player. Kiryu also gets a hold of drones that can swarm enemies, a bomb that can in the shape of a cigarette, and jet fuel shoes to zoom around the battlefield. Due to the way the game handles juggles, switching between styles mid-combo gives a satisfying feel similar to those of Lost Judgment. That, along with the new Agent style, makes for the best combat in the series, save Yakuza Like a Dragon. Different system, you feel me? When people heard the opening theme by JID and Yojiro Noda, they were skeptical of the hip-hop vibe the game was giving. With the series rooted in hard-hitting guitar licks, who wouldn't be? After playing the game, it fits like a glove. The somber lyrics mixed with the lo-fi beat makes a concoction that fits the overall tone of the game. This applies to the other songs in the game. Techno beats, even the hard rock makes a return. The battle music gives an up-tempo beat that still sounds like an old man fighting alone in the world. Like past games, the theme slightly changes when switching between fighting styles. The last boss fight music really embodies the tone RGG was going for. A fast-paced tempo with an undertone of sadness really shows where Kiryu is as a character and where they want him to go in the future. Naturally, we can't talk about the music in the Yakuza franchise without going into the staple game mode, karaoke.
それでは聞いてくれ。
The Yakuza franchise is known for its gut-wrenching main story paired with the most outlandish side stories and mini-games seen in video games. Like a Dragon Gaiden is no different from the rest of these. The staple karaoke mode returns with Bakemetai, hands the longest karaoke song known to man, Tonight, Like a Butterfly, and Sayonara Silent Night as the songs of choice. It's always fun to hit up the karaoke bar after doing a little racing in the returning Pocket Circuit mode. Pocket Circuit mode is similar to how it is in Yakuza 0 and Yakuza Kiwami. If you haven't played those versions of the mini game, you upgrade a little RC car to race around the track to win tournaments. Pocket Racing isn't the only tournament that you can enter in the game. Coliseum makes its grand return after missing several titles. You do an all-out brawl with teammates you acquire doing a Kami Network mission. or you can take it solo and battle out one-on-one or one versus many. This is the best version, as playing as Kiryu isn't the only option. You have options within the game, of course, but in typical modern game fashion, you can purchase old series protagonists such as Goro Majima and Taiga Saejima to play. Hostess Club make their jump to Gaiden with a shocking reality twist. This year's hosts are pre-recorded live-action cutscenes instead of the in-game models of the previous entries. I don't mind them, but they feel like they don't feel like they belong. It takes me out of the immersion of the game as opposed to keeping me locked in, and I don't know how I feel about that. Other mini games return such as blackjack and poker. They don't really do anything special. They're just the run-of-the-mill Yakuza side mission stuff and side mini game stuff. With all of this tied in, Gaiden stays in line with the rest of the series being packed with side content. Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name is a great conclusion to the solo Kiryu story. Even with a shorter story, it still stands tall on its own compared to the others in the franchise. The price of $50 is justified because it's packed with content and it has new additional mini games to play with. However, slow parts in the middle of the games drag the experience down a little bit. For that, I have to give it a score of 8 out of 10. As a newcomer to the Yakuza franchise, my attachment to these games might not be as strong as some of the people who have been playing for over a decade. Only got into them a few years ago. I even love the ones that people don't like Yakuza 3. Seeing Kiryu going through pain hurts me as well. I rarely cry for anything, let alone video games. So when a studio can make a character that's so captivating like RGG Studio did with Kiryu Kazuma, it makes these stories feel so more enriched. Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name gets a azure lamp of approval. Even with the nitpicks I have with the game, I still suggest you go out and buy the game. It's well worth your time if you have $50 or if you have Xbox Game Pass. And I think people who like the Yakuza games will enjoy this game to its fullest.